On August 31st, 2025, FIBA posted the line nobody in Serbia wanted to read. Bogdan Bogdanovic's Eurobasket is over with a torn hamstring. Less than 24 hours earlier, Nikola Jokic had lit up Latvia for 39, and suddenly the entire tournament flipped from Serbia looks terrifying to can they win without their perimeter engine. However, the calendar is ruthless. Round of 16 seeding locks September 6th to 7th, and there is no time for mourning. First receipt hits now. The Federation and FIBA confirmed the tear, the rehab in the US, and the captain's armband moving to Stefan Jovic. Here's the shock. Bogdan isn't just a shooter. He's Serbia's late clock grown-up, the voice who calms a broken possession and punishes a switch. You don't replace that with a pep talk. But Serbia has the one cheat code the bracket fears, Jokic in carry mode, and we saw the preview on August 30th in Riga. 39 points, 10 boards, and a clinic against the host nation in a 4-point win. That's not a hot streak, that's a lever. First payoff by the numbers. Serbia 84, Latvia 80, Jokic 15, of 26, 8 of 8 at the line. Let's anchor the timeline before the spin starts. Friday, August 29th, Serbia beat Portugal, and Bogdan grabbed his hamstring on a fast break, did not return, and underwent imaging. Saturday, August 30th, Jokic detonated against Latvia and punched Serbia into the knockouts. Sunday, August 31st, the Serbian Federation said the quiet part out loud, hamstring tear, out for the event, and, crucially, in agreement with his club, the Los Angeles Clippers, he would rehab stateside immediately. Monday, September 1st, outlets added that his NBA training camp status is now a question mark. 4 days until the round of 16. That's the squeeze. So who's the villain here? It's not a person. It's the clock, the calendar, and the hamstring itself. Hamstrings don't negotiate. They don't care that Serbia was built around a two-man hierarchy of Jokic's gravity and Bogdan's perimeter threat. They snap and they steal spacing. And the cruelest part is seeding isn't patient. The knockout map freezes September 6th to 7th, which means Pezic must refactor the offense on the fly while holding a top seed. That's not theory. That's how this tournament is structured. Now watch how the hero fights back. Serbia's answer versus Czechia on September 1st was blunt and effective. Go big, punch the paint, and let the defense suffocate. They jumped to a 27-5 start, won 82-60, and looked like a team that knows exactly what it has to be without Bogdan. Heavy on size, deliberate with the ball, and ruthless on the glass. It's not pretty, it's pragmatic. And it works in elimination basketball. Let's zoom into the receipts that matter. FIBA's own game report spells it out. Serbia go big to stay undefeated. That's a coaching tell. With Bogdan out, the captain's armband to Stefan Jovic isn't just symbolic. It's a signal to lean into veteran orchestration, not freelance hero shots. When the first quarter goes 27-5, that's not coincidence. That's tactical discipline. And if you're tracking usage, you saw the touches bend toward players' comfortable screening, slipping, and finishing inside. But the Jokic load spike is a headline you clicked for, and yes, it's real. Latvia tried the trick every coach debates. Make Jokic a scorer instead of a passer. He answered with a national team career high in AW. Without Bogdan, that math returns with interest. Serbia will need Jokic to shoulder more late clock creation, absorb more contact, and live on the line. The good news? He just showed he can do it in this exact gym. The catch? Doing it for 2 straight weeks is a different animal. So who eats Bogdan's possessions? Start with Vasilija Micic. He's a pick-and-roll surgeon who can keep the pace under control and feed bigs in stride. Marko Guduric becomes your glue wing, toggling between spacer and second-side creator. Ognjen Dobrik and Vanja Marinkovic are your catch-and-shoot lifelines. If either gets hot, the geometry changes and Jokic's post touches become layups disguised as passes. The roster receipts were published before tip. Serbia kept depth at both guard and wing for exactly this scenario. In the front court, the blueprint is physical. Nikola Milutinov's screens are moving walls. Legal, mean, and effective. Filip Petrusev is your face-up release valve, capable of short roll floaters and elbow jumpers that punish drop coverages. Tristan Vukcevic stretches the floor enough to pull a rim protector out of the paint. Even 5 minutes of gravity buys Jokic cleaner catches at the nail. This is how you replace a shot-making guard. You don't. You reroute the offense through size and structure. Here's the mid-video reveal. Serbia doesn't have to be a better shooting team without Bogdan, they need to be a lower variance team. Paint attempts, free throws, and defensive rebounding travel in knockouts. When FIBA's own write-ups say Serbia used bigger lineups and created advantages inside, that's your cue. If they hold to that identity, the missing 15 to 18 points get replaced with 6 extra free throws, 5 second-chance points, and 8 points off dump-offs. That math wins ugly. But let's not sanitize the loss. Bogdan was the captain, and late-game closer. He bends a defense, even when he's 2-4-10. He's also the guy who eats pressure and gives Jokic breathing room at the top of the key. The intangible hits, crunch time calm, inbound reliability, and the threat of a one-dribble pull-up. That's why the injury made Clippers headlines. 2. This isn't just a national team story. It bleeds into NBA camp narratives about minutes, ramp-ups, and calendar risk. Back to the bracket. As of the morning of September 2nd in Sofia time, the round of 16 starts this weekend, September 6th to 7th, with a single elimination minefield. The difference between a 1 seed and a 2 seed isn't just pride, it's path. A softer first step means fewer minutes for Jokic early, which matters when his load is peaking. The group stage standings on league sites reflect Serbia's cushion, but one off night can flip a path from manageable to gauntlet. That's why these last group games look conservative. Solid lineups, low turnover risk, and tempo control. We also need to talk leadership. With the armband on Stefan Jovic, Serbia gains an on-court traffic cop who doesn't care about the box score. That matters when a team must change who talks, who touches, and who decides. The next 2 practices aren't about sets, they're about voices. If Jovic owns the first pass and Micic owns the second action, Jokic can hunt mismatches without dribbling a hole into the floor. That's conservation disguised as aggression. Now, how do opponents counter? They'll top-block shooters and dare Avramovic to beat closeouts. They'll send late digs at Jokic's gather to test if Serbia can find the dunker spot on time. They'll run Jokic through screening traffic to tax legs before fourth quarters. And they'll pray the whistle stays consistent. Free throws are Serbia's new oxygen. If it turns into a half-court wrestling match, Serbia prefers it. If it turns into a track meet, pace favors younger wings. Let's address the elephant in Los Angeles. When FIBA and the Federation say in agreement with the Clippers, that's not just polite phrasing. It's preemptive alignment for a rehab plan that hits the NBA calendar. Camp optics matter. If Bogdan is limited into preseason, rotations and early spacing for LA get interesting fast. This is risk management on 2 continents at once. The word from national team channels is simple. The US is where the medical plan continues. That's where the noise migrates next. For Serbia, the near-term fix is minutes math. Add 2 to Micic, 2 to Guduric, 2 to Dobrik, and stash 1 or 2 for Marinkovic as a heat check. Jokic's usage bumps, but not by 10 points, by 5 to 7, strategically placed in the second and late fourth. You don't want him empty at the 36-minute mark. You want him fresh for the last 6 possessions that decide medals. Receipts check on performance without Bogdan. The immediate post-injury sample against Czechia looked organized, physical, and professional. Serbia held Czechia to 60, controlled the glass, and never trailed. That's how veteran teams buy time to reinvent themselves. It's not a guarantee. It's evidence they still own their floor. We also need to map the psychological edge. The narrative after August 31st was Serbia lost its closer. The counter by September 1st was Serbia doesn't need a closer if it's already up 15. Pešić has won games like this for decades. Reduce possessions, win the rim, trust your best player to decide 5 moments instead of 50. That's not fear, that's control. Now to the opponents who thought the door cracked. Germany and France have the wings to swarm the elbows. Lithuania and Latvia are built to bomb you out of a drop. But if Serbia keeps the game inside the arc, forces set defenses, and wins the foul count, those threes turn into long rebounds and 2-for-1s for Jokic. It's geometry, not romance. Don't ignore the churn in the locker room. Losing your captain tests a pecking order. If Guduric embraces the best role player star, if Micic calls the early actions, and if the bigs own the dirty work, Serbia's identity solidifies fast. That's when role clarity translates into seating protection and fresher legs by the weekend. You can spot it in body language. No head-down jogs, no late huddles, no panic passes. Let's reload the receipts for the skeptics. FIBA's news post names the hamstring tear and the plan to rehab in the U.S., with explicit mention of the Clippers. The Serbian Federation statement flagged the imaging and the immediate scratch, days before the full ruling. NBC's report underlined how this clouds LA's camp. And the box score from August 30th confirms Jokic's 39 in Riga. The spine of this story isn't rumor, it's documented. If you want a micro wrinkle, circle the free throw math. Versus Latvia, Jokic went 8-4, 8, and that's the template. Without Bogdan's off-dribble threes, Serbia must replace points with contact. That means more slip screens, more seals, and more duck-ins, actions that bait whistles. If they win the stripe by 6 to 8 attempts, the margin spends like insurance. Another twist, the captain swap to Stefan Jovic can be more than ceremonial. He's a low-turnover caretaker who thrives in get-us-to the set possessions. In knockouts, one turnover flips a game, one commentary pass saves it. If Jovic trims one empty trip per quarter, that's 8 points spread across 40 minutes. That's how veteran guards stack invisible wins. Zoom out to stakes. Serbia entered Eurobasket as a favorite with a fully loaded core. As of September 2nd, they're 4-0 without their captain for one of those wins, and the bracket starts this weekend. The goal didn't change. The route did. That's the drama that keeps cameras glued to the bench, not the scoreboard. So what's next on court? Expect Pezic to test a double big plus one handler, line up early in knockout games to bully the glass and slow pace. Expect Jokic two-man actions late, with Guduric stationed as the second side release. Expect Dobrik to guard the first hot wing and live with the result. And expect Jokic to take 1 or 2 early post touches just to taste the whistle. That's scouting for the fourth quarter. For Bogdan, it's now recovery and silence. Hamstrings ask for time, progression, and patience. The public questions, NBA preseason minutes, ramp timing, will keep surfacing, but there's nothing to say until imaging says it. For Serbia, the only message that matters is printed in the standings by September 7th. Survive the rewire, keep the seed, and keep the miles off 15th legs. That's the mission. Final line, no sugarcoating. The injury tried to derail Serbia, shrink the floor, and rush the clock. Jokic and Pezic flipped it into a new identity built on size, control, and math. If it holds, the villain aimed to destroy the hero, but ultimately destroyed itself.